The West Beta teams were on their second bye this week. There was plenty of other action going on throughout the Treasure Valley this evening. Welcome on into Friday Night Football, brought to you by Steve's Hometown Toyota in Ontario. I'm Sports Director Jay Tust. Will Hall will be alongside in just a moment. But first, we head on over to Boise High for some daytime football. The Brave played host to Jason Burton and the Borah Lions. We picked this one up in the first. Borah senior Tyler Fimisone goes right up the gut and into the end zone. That made it 12-7, Borah out in front early. The Lions were roaring on defense in the first, too. This is why you fly to the football as a team on defense. They punch it out. It falls on the turf. That's Hunter Knoll that recovers the fumble. And guess what? Business is booming for Borah. The Lions would capitalize off that turnover. Sophomore signal caller Corbin McCarney finds wideout Bradley Toth on the quick hitter. He skirts the sideline and finishes in the end zone. 18-7, Borah out in front. But guess what? Back comes Boise, and in historic fashion, Jack Payne bringing the pain, dropping a dime right in the bucket to Kurt Bowen. Boise rallies back to beat Borah 41-31. Boise's last win almost 2 years ago to the day against Timberline.
Well, Max, you know, Capital was the last high school football team to actually get to play a game in the state of Idaho this year. But clearly you guys have been clicking on all cylinders, the highest scoring offense at the point in all the 5A classification. What has led to your success despite what was such an untraditional offseason?
I just think we had a great bond going into this season, and even though the circumstances were like out of whack, right when our opportunity came to us to start practicing together in small groups, I think we really took advantage of the small window we had and just put everything we had into it, and it paid off with the way we started.
In your very first varsity start at quarterback, you totaled up 7 touchdowns. Did you ever imagine that?
As a kid, you always dream about balling out with your friends and going out there and just having fun. So, specifically, no, but you're just one of those things where you dream about making plays and enjoying it, and that happened, so I'm very grateful for that.
You've grown up with a football coach for a dad. I'm assuming that helps, but what has led to your smooth transition to varsity football so far?
Having a father who's a very good coach and knows what he's doing is very helpful. He's not afraid to tell me what I did right, what I did wrong. Great job here, how can we improve for next time? And that really helps me improve as a person and a player because it's straight up and I know what I have to fix and I know what I have to keep on going with.
So what is it about the quarterback position that you love, and how long have you played quarterback?
Pretty much my entire life, really. Technically, if you want to go back in the past a little bit, third grade optimist, I was a center. So even though, that weird transition, but after that, permanent quarterback, and I just love the position. I find myself as a very good leader, and, just to be able to go out and ball out with your entire team, make plays, it's very fun.
It's kind of crazy. You're only 2 games into the season, but tonight you got a big one versus Timberline, and when it comes to your pod, this might determine who's the actual winner of your pod.
Timberline's a great team, 2-0 just like us. They've had a strong start as well. I've heard around the valley that people are saying it's the game of the week, which is kind of a cool title to put on it, but at the end of the day, we'll just go out and play ball against a very worthy opponent.
Well, that was Max right around noon today. Here he is, you see 4 rocking a sling. That's because he got hurt in this ball game, a shoulder injury. He'll know more by Sunday. He did throw for 100 yards before exiting this game. Capital up 18-0. The Wolves get this early stop on D. It's DJ Burnham that gets the sack to force the punt. But Capital's D was absolutely dominant in this one. Jackson Reed gets the pick for Gurka Stick, and then he gets a little extra credit after the interception. He takes that one back up and over midfield, and then the Eagles would capitalize. Avery Downey calls his own number into the game at quarterback and into the end zone right here. And then guess what? Like you've been there before, bud, flex on him. Yeah, that's right. More standout Capital defense. Isaiah Estrada with a big tackle for loss here. Capital improves to 3-0 on the season. The Eagles post their second straight shutout. They have now outscored their opponents a combined 128-12 this season. Todd Simmons has the Eagles flying high so far. Well, heading on out to Canyon County now, the Skyview football team was supposed to have a bye week this week. Instead, though, they signed up to play Highland, the 4th-ranked team in the state, Will. I mean, normally on a bye week, just relax, but no. The Hawks wanted to push themselves this week.
Yeah, no chance for the Hawks to kind of rest up and kick back their feet. They had a big-time matchup hosting Highland, who entered this matchup tonight 5-1 on the season. Their lone loss coming to a school from Utah. So entering this matchup undefeated against teams from the state of Idaho, trying to keep that trend going tonight on the road against Coach Young and the Hawks. Let's go ahead and get to the highlights. Skyview came out, and as you always know with Coach Young and his program, they are going to be ready to play. They were dialed in, ready to go right from the get-go. We're going to pick things up in the second quarter. High-scoring affair in the first half. Back and forth we go. Easton Durham over the middle, up top, connecting with Ramon Bareilles. Ramon, big-time grab right there in the end zone. 21-16, Highland in front. We move ahead in the second. Back comes Skyview. Clayton Franson to the air, connects with Hunter Palermo for the nice gain to move the chains right there. Couple plays later, it's Franson back to the air over the middle, this time to Camden Young, and Camden does the rest, finishes in the end zone. Skyview retakes a lead of 23-21. But I mentioned back and forth we go. This time it's Highland's turn to answer. It's Durham back to the air and back to Bareilles. Good combination tonight, worked well for the Rams. That results in a touchdown. It's 28-23 Highland late in the first half, right before halftime. That's Ian Hershey. A 46-yard field goal. Could have made that from probably 55, 57, somewhere in there. Highland goes on the road, picks up the road win, 38-23 the final. Heading on over to Columbia. Down in the 4A SIC, the Falcons of Valley View trying to bounce back after suffering their first loss of the season last week to Nampa in the first. It's their standout quarterback, Casey Cope, diving towards the pylon. He gets in. What an effort right there. 7-0 Valley View out in front. Valley View's defense making plays as well. Carson Fox, the sack, the big hit, forces the fumble. It's Jace Ellenbaugh there for the recovery. But you know what? Columbia's defense making plays tonight as well. This is Isaac Phillips coming up with the big INT to halt the potential Valley View scoring drive. However, the Falcons defense will get a stop on this ensuing possession, get the ball back to the offense, and the offense marches right down the field. It's Casey Cope again, his second rushing score of the first half. Valley View goes on the road to bounce back after last week's first loss of the season. They defeat Columbia tonight, 34-7 the final. The Falcons improve to 6-1 on the season. JT, we will send it back over to you.
All right, guess what? Senior night out in Emmett as the Huskies hosted Middleton under a smoky sunset. This is a big game for both schools. Emmett a chance to climb back up into a tie for first place in the 4A SIC. Meanwhile, the Vikings needing a dub to really keep their playoff hopes alive. That's Kai McClure that connects with Mason Nichols for the first score of the game. Later on, it's McClure that thinks about going to the air. Instead, he takes it to the ground before getting pushed out of bounds. Then after that, McClure hands off a little bit later on in this game. But guess what? It's Emmett making the play. The safety gives them 2, and guess what? They cash in on offense. I believe that's Wyatt that bullies his way into the end zone. Emmett goes on to win. They crush Middleton 50-27. Like I said, the Huskies now back into a tie for first place. How about another team that's trying to hang in atop the 4A SIC standings? This is how you watch football. Man, Ridgeview hosting the Nampa Bulldogs. Nampa's Tyler Blackburn. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful pass. The bomb to Nathan Rice, who just trots into the end zone from there. Later on, man, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Deja vu, it's Blackburn to Rice once again. Nampa's offense is explosive this year. The Bulldogs go on to roll 46-21 the final. They improved to 4-1 on the season. So, Will, we talked about this a little bit last week, but as we look at the 4A SIC, you have Nampa, Emmett, Valley View, all with one loss. Bishop Kelly didn't play tonight. That's because Caldwell forfeited the game. They also only have one loss in league play. You have a 4-way tie for first in the 4A SIC with just a couple of weeks to go in the season. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, JT, you absolutely love it. This is what you want. A tight final stretch of the season where you have 4 teams that are all vying for the top spot. They're all entering the last couple of weeks of the regular season tied for that top spot in the 4A SIC. This is what you want when you're near November and near the postseason, coming down conference title race. You can't beat it.
I agree with you. Hey, some 3A scores for you. Homedale rolls 54-0. Weiser gets past McCall Donley 28-7. Another impressive night by some of our local teams. Gooding, by the way, continues to be very impressive. They knocked off Filer 32-7. If you watch the show every week, Will, you'll notice that we were a little light on the West Ada schools. That's because after they repotted this thing over a month ago, all those schools in West Ada and Cuna, for that matter, they got these double byes. So this is the final bye week, but man, next week's setting up to be a huge final week to the regular season because I know that Timberline lost this week, but they got a big battle with Skyview that's going to determine some big-time playoff seeding.
Yeah, JT, correct me if I'm wrong, but the winner of that Timberline Skyview game will get the number 2 seed for the East Pod?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and that's significant. The road to get into the postseason is much easier if you can hang on to that 2 seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also correct me if I'm wrong, but just thinking out loud, Capital improves to 3-0 on the season with their win tonight. Mm-hmm. So they'll likely face Rocky Mountain?
Yeah,
or am I off there?
They've basically cinched that one up. I think it's 1 versus 1, but I can't remember. Either way, they'll have if they win their pod, they'll have a first round bye once the postseason gets here. So not having to play football this year. I mean, I think everybody wants to play, but if you don't have to play that opening week of the playoffs, then take it off, rest up, and try to make a run at state. Another big game, Will, though. I believe Rocky Mountain wraps up their regular season against Meridian, and Meridian did suffer their first loss of the season a week ago against Eagle, but a chance for the Warriors to knock off one of the best teams in the state. It's going to be a tough task, though. The Grizz are as well-rounded a team as we've seen in the state of Idaho this year.
Yeah, they certainly are, JT. I think one thing that you brought up is for these West Ada schools, a little bit unique in that usually in a normal regular season, you know, you have maybe 1 bye week, but in the last month or so, you're going to have 2 bye weeks for each of those West Ada schools. So on one hand, it allows you to get your legs underneath you, so to speak, and get healthy. But at the same time, on the flip side, you have to be wondering, with 2 bye weeks in the last month, does it kind of slow up your momentum? And certainly in Rocky Mountain's case, you don't want it to slow up your momentum because you have been rolling on all cylinders, offense, defense, special teams. But yeah, really excited for next Friday's matchup between Meridian and Rocky Mountain. Outside looking in, just looking at the matchup initially, I think high scoring. I think Meridian has a chance with their offense, with Malachi Martinez and all the weapons he has, that it'll be able to put up some points on Rocky Mountain's defense, which has been fantastic all season long. But Rocky Mountain's offense as well. I mean, the Grizzlies are they're rolling on all cylinders right now. So that'll be a fun matchup. Outside looking in, initial thoughts, probably high scoring.
Yeah. You worry about slowing down momentum, Will. It's almost like when you're trick-or-treating on Halloween. You know, you get a Twix, you get a Kit Kat, you run into like a king-size Snickers, and then all of a sudden somebody drops some candy corn in your Halloween pail. Just slowing down the momentum immediately.
I don't understand what you're saying there. Candy corn is the greatest Halloween candy there is.
Oh, it's clearly not. Oh, it's clearly not. But Will, we appreciate your efforts tonight, bud. I think we've obviously lost a lot of high school football games this year, but have you set a record yet for high school football games that you have personally gone to and shot this season? If not, you're close because it's 4 Fridays in a row with 4 games.
Real quick, we got to go back to the Halloween candy,
Oh,
JT.
gosh.
I'm curious. I don't know this answer from you.
Yeah.
Like if your momentum was halted, what is that candy for you? What's that candy that you cannot stand? For me personally, it's actually the two things that come to mind right now, real quickly. If I had 20 minutes, I'd probably have a better answer, but Three Musketeers and Milky Way. 2 terrible candies.
And you like candy corn. I'll never understand you, Will Hall.
Candy corn's great, man.
Oh, goodness. Hey, still a couple weeks to go to Halloween. Hopefully the kids get to go out and trick or treat. Either way, we'll have plenty of treats here on Friday Night Football with highlights. Will, again, though, seriously, but I appreciate your efforts.
You bet. Thanks, JT.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Friday Night Football, brought to you by Steve's Hometown Toyota in Ontario. I remind you, you can go to KTVB.com, rewatch all these highlights, share them with your friends, family members. We'll have our Max Hall feature up there, or excuse me, Max Clark feature up there as well. Get well soon, Max. Hopefully that shoulder's okay. Obviously, the Eagles are going to need you if they want to soar in the playoffs. Anyways, we will see you next week as we inch a little closer to the season right here on Friday Night Football. See you next week, everybody. Have a good night.